The Most High Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, the honest elders and apostles of James who were well, Shalom to the elect. Um, I wanted to, basically make a little update on this and not necessarily about what's going on because, it's all pointless. They're saying they're running out of fuel in the UK. All kinds of stuff is happening over here. Even a couple months ago, some woman went missing and found out that, it was a policeman that kidnapped her and he had his way with her and he burnt the body basically. So the UK is a joke. But yeah, I was talking to someone and they were talking about how the reason why they created this quote unquote crisis is because petrol has an expiration date and they need to get rid of all their surplus stock because due to the lockdowns and stuff like that, people weren't really going anywhere, so fuel wasn't being bought and used in the same way that it was before. And obviously, it has a shelf life like everything here because everything here is temporary. Uh, let me get that. Let me get that scripture. Like Esau doesn't have an everlasting kingdom. His kingdom is a finite kingdom. What they say. This is 2 Corinthians 4:18. While we look not at the things which are seen, but at the things which are not seen. For the things which are seen are temporal, but the things which are not seen are eternal. And this when you really look into how this man runs his society, he runs it very temporary because that's how he's basically been geared. He's not geared to think, eternally. He's not geared to think in the long run. He thinks very short term, to the point where you want to blow up the friggin' moon and then, what happens then when the oceans aren't moving? What happens then when you don't have light? Or, you know what I mean? And because obviously there's a reason why you have night, you know, and there's a reason why you have the sun. You want to blow up the damn sun and everything on earth dies and then you die along with it. I mean, this guy, he just thinks in the short term. He doesn't actually think about how his consequences will affect the grand scheme of things. Even these elites, as intelligent and clever as they think they are, they're real stupid because if they actually thought ahead, they'd realize, they're not gonna win. You're playing into your Howard game, and you're not going to win that game. It says fueling the crisis as petrol and diesel have a use by date, fuel shelf life explained. So basically, some and I can definitely see truth in that because at the end of the day, these big fuel companies, they have hands in the pockets of these politicians, but obviously it's part of a bigger plan. That's just one aspect of it. And when you really delve into what these people do, they have like multi-faceted and multi-point plans. So one thing leads on to the other, and the other leads on to one thing. Orders have been filling up jerry cans at petrol stations across the country amid the fuel crisis, and we just shows you how bugged out these people are because they're stopping people who actually need it from having it, and they don't need it. If they needed it, they wouldn't be filling up in jerry cans. When you fill something in a jerry can, it means you're saving it for later. It's not for immediate use. Because if you was going to use it right there and then, you put it in your car and you'd have access to it. But they're putting it in the cans and saving it. So it's just the same fervor that, the same bugged outness that they used when the tissue crisis occurred. Do petrol and diesel expire when petrol is oxidized, as in when it's exposed to oxygen and there's oxygen all around you. So it just it just shows you that. I mean, this guy's method of energy is just bugged out because they could have created hemp oil and used that, but they didn't want to use that because everybody could theoretically have access to it. But with oil, not everyone can build an oil rig or has access to oil, to refine it, so on and so forth. So they like doing things where only they can have the process and things like that. It tends to destroy the earth, because at the end of the day, the Lord is set up where everything can be used easily by everyone, and this devil doesn't like that. He likes to make it difficult. It's like you really, really, really have to go out of your way to be an evil also. You know what I mean? It's just much easier to just, to do good. That's why the Lord says, my yoke isn't a burden. It's actually burdensome to be evil, because you have to do all these plans and trick people and lie to people, and you gotta remember the lies. It's just all long. If it is kept correctly in a sealed container at 20 degrees, it can last up to 6 months. However, if it is stored in higher temperatures, it can expire at roughly 3 months. So the warmer it is, the quicker it will expire. If expired petrol is used, it can cause impurities to clog up and damage the inner mechanisms of your engine. I can never say that word sometimes. Meanwhile, diesel can be used for between 6 months to a year before it expires and becomes gummy. Gummy diesel is when it becomes sticky over time, and this can clog your engine. However, it is possible to rejuvenate old petrol or diesel that is sitting in a tank by topping it up with new fuel. And apparently, you can only store up to 30 litres of petrol at home or non-workplace premises without informing the Petroleum Enforcement Authority, the PEA. I mean, you have no freedom in this car. You can't even store petrol without having to tell. You can't do anything here. The best way to store petrol is in the tank of your car. Who would have thunk it, eh? They said petrol is a dangerous substance. It is a highly flammable liquid that gives off vapor which can easily be set on fire when not handled safely, has the potential to cause serious fire and or explosion. This means there's a risk of serious personal injury if petrol is stored or used in an unsafe way. An empty container that previously held petrol may also be unsafe because of the fumes that remain, so ensure you keep the cap securely fastened and follow the same advice for storing petrol. And even they have when you're going for your driver's license or whatever, they tell you you're not supposed to drop fuel on the road because it's very slippery. At the end of the day, it's just like this stuff, it doesn't work. This whole system doesn't work, which is why it's so. It's like it's though it's kind of finely tuned in a way, you know what I mean? Because if one thing drops, then it basically all collapses on itself, and essentially it just shows that it's not a good structure, because when you have a good structure, one aspect of that structure doesn't affect the other. You know what I mean? This place is so weak that one thing will completely affect everything else. Ecclesiastes 8:9. All this have I seen and applied my heart unto every work that is done under the sun. There is a time wherein one man ruleth over another to his own hurt. So at this point, these people have been having, the true kings of the earth under subjugation for so long, to the point where it's actually harming them. They're doing all this stuff to really, slaughter Jake, and it's actually hurting them at this point. But they don't wanna, they don't wanna let you go. It's kind of like it reminds me of the story of Pharaoh, where he was holding the Egyptians. You know what I mean? And he didn't want to let them go, and he was having all these kind of plagues, and he still wouldn't let them go. And even when he did let them go, he went after them, to get killed. And it's like the Lord is playing this out all over again. And this man, because he doesn't understand the scriptures, he can't see the parallels between, history and what he's doing now. He just basically in a trick bag, repeating a cycle, and he doesn't realize in the end he's gonna lose. Ecclesiastes 4:6. Better is an handful with quietness than both the hands full with travail and vexation of spirit. So this man has everything, and he doesn't even have peace. He runs and rules the whole world, and everybody hates him. He can't even sit in his own country and be happy. You got people coming over, trying to bomb him and destroy his society. So he's just constantly vexed. These people, these are bugged out, man. Mark 8:36. For what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? And these people, I wouldn't say they're soulless, because everybody has soul, but his soul's corrupted, man. This man's an idiot, man. You gotta do this to get rid of fuel. You gotta cause a panic, because there's no other reason, man. Because at the end of the day, it's about money as well. You know what I mean? So if no one's selling petrol, you're gonna lose a whole bunch of money, man. So these people are trying to get these people to bug out and go, and they can literally convince these people to do whatever they want, because they just manipulate people, and people are actually really out there doing the most, even though they don't really need it. And I've made a point that people are topping up, and they ain't going nowhere. You putting stuff in jerry cans, talking about how long is it gonna last. All praises to the Most High, Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai, double honest, that I was an apostle of Jimis, well, Shalom,